What's going on? Born for Sports. Salute to New York Giant Nation. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like button. And most importantly, hit that subscribe button to Born for Sports. Well, Giant fans, here we are. It is finally here. And basically, it is the New York Giants 2026 schedule release. And I'm here to give you my reaction to the schedule release, how everything was structured, what are the highs and lows of the schedule, and what the Giants need to do to get back to the promised land of becoming the New York Football Giants that we all remember and know as a contender in the NFC, especially the NFC East. And my first reaction is, now we know. You know what I'm saying? Like, now we know what's next. We know who's next. We know what's going to happen when we play teams. And now the coaching staff knows, most importantly. And they can put together a plan to get this thing going in the new John Harbaugh era. And speaking of the Harbaugh era, let's give you my breakdown of this schedule. And it starts for me, the big thing. Four primetime games, folks. 4 already in the first year in the Harbaugh era, and I call this the Harbaugh Dart effect. Yes, indeed. John Harbaugh, okay, future Hall of Fame coach, has now come to the New York Giants, is running the show. He's restored some credibility in the organization from the outside now. Well, now comes the part where we build the team to restore New York Giant tradition of getting back to winning. And I think the NFL is trusting the Giants, okay? They're trusting that they're going to be a formidable team, much improved, as they show signs of becoming a good team last year, but had promised finishing. And we'll get to that soon in this video. But I call this the Harbaugh and the Jackson Dart effect. Jackson Dart, who, in my opinion, was robbed of the Rookie of the Year ballot, okay? Should have not finished any less than second, okay? And he restored some promise. He restored some hope to this New York football franchise with how he looked last year, with the limited weapons around him, with the generic coaching around him. And now you pair him with John Harbaugh. The NFL, as well as us Giant fans, are hoping and counting on the turnaround coming. And that's what happens when you have the quarterback in place and the coach dynamic in place. Now, it's just time to get the job done. So let's start with the schedule itself. Let's break it down, folks. Season opener, we know, is the Sunday night tilt against the Cowboys at MetLife Stadium. Now, listen, folks. I know the Cowboys can score points, and I know they've actually added to their defense as far as adding more talent. Last year, it was a terrible unit. We know the story. And I am not sold on the Dallas Cowboys or Super Bowl contender. I'm sorry, folks. I've seen this movie before. Are they formidable? Absolutely. Are they a problem and a factor in the NFC East? Absolutely. But I'm also here to tell you, so are the New York Football Giants. I think that this division is going to be highly competitive, and that starts with the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. We all know the storylines are going to be. Last time the New York Giants played the Dallas Cowboys in a season opening game and at MetLife Stadium, they were trounced 40-0. It was a terrible disaster in that season. Well, folks, barring injury, I think this New York Football Giant team is going to be ready to go, okay? They're going to be ready to go, and I think that they are prime in position to make an opening statement on opening night. National TV. It's the Cowboys and Giants at MetLife Stadium, man, and I can't wait to see it. I look at that game as a Giant win. I really do. I think the Giants are going to be ready. I think the buzz is going to be electric. It's going to be during 9/11 weekend. Yeah, I think that the New York Football Giants will beat the Dallas Cowboys at MetLife Stadium, barring some crazy injury in preseason. That's what I see. And that's the statement John Harbaugh makes week 1. Mark that down. Now, after that, let's break down the anatomy of the schedule of how the season ebbs and flows or goes. Now, I believe this New York Football Giant team is going to be a factor in this NFC East. And I think they're going to be one of those teams that as the season gets going, barring catastrophic injuries, they are going to become better and better and better and be a hell of a problem down the stretch of the season. We'll get to that in a moment. But I look at this part of the schedule as this is a must-have. Week 2 to week 6 after the Cowboy game, okay, you got the Rams, Monday Night Football. Listen, the Rams are a formidable opponent. They're going to be jacked up in their stadium, okay, a Super Bowl contender for sure. That's going to be a tough game for the Giants to win, especially this early in the season where they're figuring stuff out and getting things together as they build this thing up. So, hey, that's not a game that I would say I will expect the Giants to win, but I expect a solid showing, okay? Then you got the Titans in week 3. Listen, Titan fans are talking crazy online. They've been talking crazy all winter, okay? And as far as I can see, have they made a couple of improvements? Sure, they made a little bit of improvements, but their roster was ass coming into this season, into the offseason, okay? Titan fans talk crazy, but they won less games than the Giants last year, and they seem to forget that. They really do. And they made a coaching change. And who did they bring in? They bring in Robert Saleh, who is a good defensive coordinator, in my opinion, and he needs to show something as a head coach. Okay, but that's a story for another day. And they bring old friend Brian Daboll. Now, we know Brian Daboll is going to be foaming at the mouth to get revenge and make a statement. As the Titans open up against the Jets in week 1, and then 2 weeks later come back to MetLife again to take on the Giants. So you know Brian Daboll's going to be jacked up and ready, and he's going to want to win this game badly as he is the OC. Okay, but I look at the talent on each side. The New York Giants are the better team. Okay, so color me not impressed with the Titans, and I'll believe it when I see it. Okay, let Titan fans talk. We know what it is. Arizona, another winnable game at home. Got to get that one. Okay. You got Jordan Love, who was said to be on the Giant radar in the draft. He'll be coming in. What's their quarterback situation going? Jacoby Brissett? Yeah, whatever. We'll see them. I expect that to be a win. At Washington. Now, this should be a solid matchup. The Commanders have improved their team, but I think the Giants have improved their team, and I think they are the better team. And that should be a solid matchup. Early NFC East battle between two good teams, two good young quarterbacks, two improved defenses, which if you listen to me, I love what I see from the Giant defense. So I expect that to be a big battle. Then you got the Saints at home also to finish off in week 6, another winnable game. They come out the dome. They come to MetLife Stadium. I expect the Giants to play well in that game. So in my opinion, the Giants must have a winning record heading into week 7 after this stretch of games. Okay? I could definitely see a 4-2 record. This is the most winnable part of their schedule, as we'll get to in a moment. But the Giants have to have a winning record heading into week 7 after this stretch of games. So now let's focus on week 7 and 12. Okay? Hey, this is when things get a lot more tougher. Now, week 7, you got to go to the Texans. Now, we all know with the Texans, man, they're one of the best defense, if not the best defense in football. And going into their stadium, trying to win that game, that's going to be a tall order for the New York Football Giants. That's going to be a tall order. It's going to be a physical battle. But this is the image the Giants are building, the culture the New York Giants are doing under John Harbaugh, getting back to the roots of point of attack football. And there ain't no better test to see where you are as a point of attack football physical team than the Houston Texans in Houston. Then you got the bye week, a much needed bye week. And I like where the bye week is this year. Last year was in week 14, which is crazy to me. But this year, week 8, perfectly in the middle of the season, especially after some physical battles. I like where the bye week goes, and you'll have 2 weeks to prepare for two teams that you're going to play in the NFC East, okay? in a short period of time. Now, you got to go to Philly. We all know the House of Horrors of Philly. It's not going to be easy to win over there, okay? But I remember last season in Philly, okay? In Philly, Kayvon Thibodeau stripped that ball away from Jalen Hurts on a bogus play, blown whistle dead on that tush push that changed the entire momentum of that game. And of course, we lost Cam Scatterbo as well. I think the Giants can be very competitive in this game, but this is a house of horrors for the Giants. They just have not done well at the link. We'll see if things can turn around this time. Washington then after that on a Thursday night tilt at MetLife Stadium, but on a short week. That's not going to be easy to play those two teams in that stretch. If the Giants can split those two games, hey, getting both will be beautiful. But if you at least split those two games, gotta say you'll be happy taking that going into the next week, which will be the Jaguars at home. Now, you got the Jaguars coming out from hot weather. Hey, that's November football, okay? Northeast football. You bringing them up here to MetLife Stadium. I expect the Giants jacked up. And I'm sorry, but I need to see if the Jags can become the same team that I saw last year. We'll see how that goes. And especially having them come to our building in November. Cold weather. I like our chances in that game. Then old friend Daniel Jones, if he's healthy, the Giants travel to Indy. It's going to be a tough game as far as two physical football teams. Okay, Daniel Jones, you know the story. He's going to want revenge. We all know those will be the storylines. The new guy, the new protege, the new hero of the franchise, Jackson Dart. I can see it now. Jackson Dart going into Indianapolis to go show the old cast-off of Daniel Jones that, hey, you guys are good. We're good, too. We're happy with our decision. So, hey, it's going to be a solid game. Should be a very entertaining game that day. Indy has a physical defense, but that is not an impossible game to win, and I expect the Giants to play well. So, if the Giants go here in this stretch, if they have to have a 7-4 record heading into Week 13, it's very possible, folks, very possible the Giants can have a 7-4 record in Week 13. Worst case scenario, 6-5. You take it, but very possible they can have a 7-4 record, in my opinion, in this stretch. They can go 3-2. We'll see how that goes, but I believe it can definitely happen. Now, you got to close the season Week 13 to 18. This is going to be where it's going to get real live for the New York Giants, and we're going to know where they are as a football team come and where they're headed possibly for this last stretch, because this is the toughest by far stretch of this schedule. You got the 49ers coming into MetLife. All right, listen, cold weather game, okay, West Coast team coming in to play a 1 o'clock game. Hey, I like the fact the Giants can have them do that. They're a physical football team. Giants have got to be ready. The Niners should be a formidable opponent. We all know what they did to the Giants, okay, late in the season last year, where 49er fans just basically invaded MetLife and took over the stadium. It was crazy. It was kind of embarrassing, to be honest. But New York Giants are a better team, I feel, than they were last year. Niners should be formidable, should be an interesting contest. Then they got to go to Seattle and play the champs, and probably the toughest venue in football at Seattle. Yes, it's going to be a very, very tall task. You expect Seattle to be one of those best teams. The NFC West is going to be a dogfight with those three teams. All three of those teams are going to be formidable in the NFC playoff picture. Going to be a tough game there. But then they come back home. They play the Browns. Browns got a pretty damn good, solid defense. And, however, they have their head coach who John Harbaugh knows well. Okay, Todd Monken. So Giants should be ready for that game. Denard Wilson should be ready, have his defense ready to take on an anemic offense in Cleveland, but should be a physical football team. You know Myles Garrett. You know what them boys bring, especially the great Myles Garrett. Then comes at Detroit on a Monday night. Going to be a very tough game late in the year. Detroit, they should be improved. If they're healthy, they should be a formidable opponent. Go back to the Super Bowl contention team as they should be. Last year, Giants had a very entertaining game, and a game they probably should have won in Detroit with Jameis Winston. It's going to be real interesting to see Jackson Dart out there in his first time playing in Detroit on a nationally televised Monday Night Football game. Then the last two games against the NFC East. They got to travel to Dallas, and they finish against the Eagles. Listen, at Dallas, we should have won that game last year, but that inept schmuck Shane Bowen ruined it with what he did, okay, and how we blew that game with 12 seconds left. That was a game the Giants should have swept Dallas last year, okay? So, hey, should be a real competitive contest. And then you got Philly. Listen, the Eagles, I just have to say this now. I expect A.J. Brown to be traded to the Patriots, and if that does hold up as everyone around the league expect, I don't think the Eagles are as unbeatable as they've been in the past. They got a lot of questions. They got a new coordinator, offensive coordinator calling plays. They got some questions about Jalen Hurts, and now you're going to take away his top weapon in the passing game where he's already been struggling as a passer. Color me skeptical if I think that the Eagles are coming back to the pack in a very competitive NFC East. Not saying they're not a good team, but I do not think they're Super Bowl juggernaut that people want to believe. I think they're coming back to the pack, and they have a lot of questions themselves to ask. So that should be a very, very competitive game at MetLife Stadium and could be for a very important game late in the season with playoff implications. And now, with my last sentence, you should know where I'm going with my prediction as I use playoff and implications in the same sentence. Hey, my early record prediction, hey, I'm buying in 10-7 and playoff berth. I don't know if it'll be for the division. This NFC East is going to be a very competitive division, and the NFC alone has some big time teams that have to go through. It's going to be a tough to make the playoffs. But I think that this NFC East can be won by any team in this division this year. And I'm expecting the John Harbaugh effect. Listen, we know the story last year. The Giants' issues was not really talent. It was how to finish games. They were 1-5, leading by 10 points or less in the fourth quarter. They blew a lot of games. We all know the story. They should have won. I expect with this new coaching staff in Denard Wilson and Nagy and Callahan and other Greg Roman on the offensive side of the ball, the coordinators are upgrading. And of course, the head coach. Whenever you add a head coach who's a Hall of Fame, future Hall of Famer, you got it and had an adult in the room bringing credibility back to the New York Football Giants. I expect that this Giant team is going to be a lot different than what a lot of people think. And I really do think that this is a situation where the Giants could at least win 9 games. The floor is 8 for me. 9 games, and I think they can actually make the playoffs. So I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to take 10-7 and a playoff berth. Hey, possibly NFC East. We'll see. Everyone's playing the same schedule. Like I said, Eagles came back to the pack. Any of these teams can win the division. I think 10-7 is the Giants' future this season. Giant Nation, salute. Let me know what you think about this schedule and what are you expecting and what is the toughest and easiest parts that you're looking forward to seeing. And let me know your prediction of what you think the New York Giants football team will have in their final record, if you agree with what I'm talking about with our record. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Ball for Sports. Let's go Giants.